All right. I have a follow-up question here. You discussed on nickel, but for stainless steel, chromium is also an important alloying element. Do you see some evolution there?
I'm sorry, I agree that there is also for chromium a story to tell, but I have not analyzed it in detail, so I cannot really comment on this. It will, yeah. The stainless, what I can say is that the stainless steel industry and how it evolves will obviously have its impact for chromium, and probably you could expect a demand reduction for chromium. But yeah, you would need more detailed studies on how that evolves exactly and how other technologies could potentially pick up to make a global assessment on the chromium market.
All right. You also in the middle of your presentation, you mentioned a base case. So in the start, you presented this 45 and 75 megaton scenario.
Yeah.
And then you were discussing the lithium challenges, where you say it's going to be somewhere between the 0 and the 55. And then you mentioned in our base case, we are somewhere in between.
Yeah.
What is this base case referring to?
The base case refers to the mining potential we have as well in the study, and it's more explained there. For pillar 1 and 2, the domestic potential, we have a base case and we have a potential. The base case is mostly fed to us by a third-party data provider, Minespans. And Minespans has a very solid assessment on mining projects and metal projects in the world, and also has a probability on them if they will operationalize or if they're not really likely to operationalize. And we use the base case scenarios from Minespans. And what we say there is for the mining potential for lithium in the base case, so with everything that we know right now, we say that there is not one lithium project going to realize. But it's very interesting to see that full potential of 55%, because it's not what we know today that is going to define what we know in a year from now. So that's why in this study and also in this presentation, I think it's helpful to look at the two numbers, to look at the 0% of what we believe with the business conditions that we know today, but what it could bring if business conditions change. But in the base case, we really want to say we want to be conservative and not have high expectations. We want to be very conservative on what you can expect in Europe. That's why we say there is a very solid reason to believe that for lithium, it could be that there is zero lithium operationalizing, and that's why we call that our base case.
All right. Another question, how do you see the future of lead?
That's also a very good question. It's a tough question, and I can be very honest. Lead was a part of this study, but lead for communication reasons were taken out of the study again. Communication reasons, for that reason that the outlook for lead is declining. You find very little reports, public reports. Maybe you have some public reports going 10 years out on lead, but I don't think you find reports going 20 or 30 years out on lead, because what you will see is that the lead demand is going to decline. The internal combustion engine cars are a very big driver of lead demand today. The electric vehicles will also need a bit of lead, but obviously not as much as the traditional cars. So what you will see is that as the car fleet is replaced by electric vehicles, that the overall demand of lead is declining. Yeah. And there is some pickup. There's some pickup for cables. There is maybe some pickup for batteries, but they will not be able to compensate the loss in the internal combustion engine cars.
So you don't see a good pickup for stationary batteries, for example. It's known as being quite a cheap solution.
Yeah, it is.
For energy storage.
But and it's a very interesting topic because I got a lot of questions on this while we were more towards the end of the study. But it's also a very interesting one to analyze because for stationary batteries in this study, I worked with lithium-ion batteries, but yeah, that's not the only technology that's going to be used. Maybe lead acid batteries, but also very much in the picture, vanadium redox batteries. And we did a very quick scenario on the vanadium redox batteries. If that has a penetration rate in the stationary of, I should check my numbers, but I think it's between 10 and 15%, it would double the vanadium demand. It would double the vanadium demand by 2030. So I think having more intelligence on stationary batteries is super interesting. I think there could be some interesting surprises in there, but I did not assess it in detail. Now, for lead specifically, I think that the potential size in stationary batteries is just never as big as it is today for the car industry. You would also need to quantify it, but I think there you cannot find a story like you would find potentially on vanadium, for example.
All right. I see no more questions in the Q&A at this moment. Lisbeth, can people contact you later on with questions?
Of course, yes. You can definitely contact me. So obviously Karel van Akker and his research team are always available at the KU Leuven. I myself will leave, but you can also find me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to have more in-depth conversations on this topic. I'm very passionate about it, and feel free to challenge me now or later. I'm very happy to learn and have discussions on this topic. So feel free to reach out.
And we were very happy to have you. We feel the passion. And I would like to thank you again, Lisbeth, Grégoire, and also Karel van Akker for this very interesting webinar. And I say a big goodbye and a good holidays to all our members. And we'll be back in touch after the summer. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.